You're joining us in this post-match review of Pakistan-Netherlands in the second game of the ICC World Cup 2023, and another disappointing outing, one-sided contest, you may say. And while Netherlands huffed and puffed for a large part of that game, but Pakistan got the inevitable result. We predicted a 50-run win there and thereabouts, but they did manage to get a decent enough win, which will do them a world of good for their net run rate. My name's Avnish Hegde, and of course, as you can see, Nikhil Popa and Gurkira joining us in this post-match review. Boys, I'm just absolutely delighted the fact that the preview went so swimmingly well. We called pretty much everything which happened in the game. Gurkirat got a spot on with Saud Shakeel and the X Factor. You predicted that Babar will get out Aryan Dutt. Why don't we just get into a different business of, making prophecies, Nix?
He's already in that business.
He is.
Somewhat.
Actually,
And
Somewhat.
it was good to get Basili right as well. But again, I think as said, it was more a very straight call. And Aaron that did bowl well. Colin Ackerman was the beneficiary of that wicket on paper, which is okay, no problems. But again, most of the things went to plan because you could see those coming. And may this keep happening. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I've just got a little thumbs up from my producer to show you guys the particular match depiction in the summary, because at the end of the day, 81 runs is what Pakistan have won this first game of their competition of the ICC World Cup. And it was, like I said, nervous times, and we'll break it down for you chronologically. But right here, right now, as you can see, Pakistan getting the job done in Hyderabad, which they will, of course, stay in and play Sri Lanka in a coming few days. But there will be, of course, a lot of people appreciating them across the border. So keep your comments coming through. Of course, we'll be here for the next 20 minutes or so, picking the bones about everything, including our top performers, the turning points, and of course, lots of the other talking points as well. Right, so let's start chronologically then and start with Gurkirat, because, 3 down for 38. They could have been 5 down for 43 if Vikramjit held on to that catch of Saud Shakeel. Mohammad Rizwan, if I remember correctly, nearly chopped on as well. But how important was that partnership, Gurkirat? 120, it took them out of jail, really.
Yeah, it was a very important partnership. And, I think Pakistan might have had a similar kind of situation in mind when they probably picked up Saud Shakeel. Maybe not that bad, but they would have felt that if they are 3 down in 15 overs, then maybe Saud Shakeel provides a lot more solidity than Aga Salman. And he did that today. I like the fact that in that partnership, both Saud Shakeel and Rizwan, uh, when the opportunity was there to try and find a boundary, they did that. They also stepped out to pacers on a couple of occasions, hit through the line. So it was good batting there and thereabouts. And I think with Saud Shakeel getting runs today and Rizwan getting runs today, at least, and then the subsequent uh, 6, 7, 8. I know Iftikhar did not score runs today, but amongst those top five, those five batters, it was only Iftikhar who had scored runs coming into the significant runs coming into this game, and others did not. So contributions from all four of them will actually, give Pakistan some confidence that yes, it's not just top three or bust. And yes, you could say that this has come against probably Netherlands only, but still, in that situation, first World Cup game, you don't want any hiccups. So it was a good partnership, both first by Rizwan and Saud Shakeel, and then a very important partnership also by Shadab and Nawaz, where again you felt that Pakistan could get bundled out around 250 or under 250, but that partnership was important for Pakistan to get to a total which they had in mind at the toss, which was around 290.
Okay, we'll pick the bones about Saud Shakeel further in our next segment, which is, of course, the top performer. Right, so Saud Shakeel, a confirmed man of the match then, Nick, since 68. I know Rizwan got 68 as well, but he got it in some style, in some quick time. Do you think now he's confirmed his place for the rest of the campaign, or is that wishful thinking from Saud Shakeel's perspective?
I think it is something that we discussed in the previous well. He's a very good batter. We've seen that in the other formats of the game, that he's someone, as Paji also said, just the right kind of guy that you wanted in that situation. And that he was able to take the attack to Netherlands also helped. I think there were moments which I'm sure the team will reflect on in terms of Netherlands, that I felt they often let Pakistan off the hook, not just with that one catch drop or a close chance, I just felt they could have used their bowlers much better, but nothing to write off against Shakeel because he was able to do what he was sent in for, batting about 50 Chacha, and as good as it gets, the middle order has been the problem for them. So if they are getting more people performing there, it'll just going to add to the confidence of the top order.
Indeed. Superhero Rises. I think that's a new
Yeah.
name we're seeing in the chat, boys. So if you're new superhero, please like and subscribe. And you're feeling bad for Delete, I am feeling bad for him. But I'll give you a fun fact for him because he becomes the first player in ODIs to score 50 and take 4 wickets in consecutive one-day internationals. More stat nuggets like that available on cricket.com social media platforms, including Twitter and Instagram. I want to ask you about his partner in crime, Gurkirat, Mohammad Rizwan. We spoke about him as well in the preview, the fact that he's got some runs under his belt coming into this tournament. How much did he have an element of luck early on, and how much do you think he'll look back at this innings and be proud of himself?
Yeah, I mean, there is that element of luck involved. You need at least one opportunity or one chance to go your way. Barring that, he was pretty much in control. Again, he was the first one to take a few boundaries of Aryan Dutt, because I believe in the first 10 overs Aryan Dutt had bowled 4 overs for only 12 runs. So it was important that he also did not go into a shell early on. He was the one who actually started a little quickly than Saud Shakeel, but then Saud Shakeel took over. And we I spoke about it in the Pakistan preview as well, that he is going to be a important player in that batting lineup, because he's the link between all the middle order and the lower middle order and the top order. So good innings from him. I think both him and Saud Shakeel would be disappointed that they did not turn this innings into a big one, because they had settled in. There was not much trouble off the pitch or anything. They were batting pretty fluently, and they would also like to avoid, like, if one settled batter has been dismissed, at least you would want the other one to carry on, because at 188 for 6 against a better bowling attack, which had more quality, and probably against a captain like maybe how Tom Latham was yesterday, that partnership would have not been enough in terms of what score Pakistan got on the board. Like Nikhil was mentioning, at that junction where it was 188 for 6, maybe Scott Edwards could have brought in an extra fielder inside the circle, forced the batters to take that extra risk, but singles were easily available. And I think from there on, it just became easy for Pakistan to get to a total where they could have felt safe, and then runs started coming. So both of them would like to avoid the fact that if one batter has got out, the other needs to bat. So that is one thing they'll avoid going forward, and they'd like to avoid going forward in the coming games.
I think that's an absolute brilliant point that you mentioned there. And that 188 for 6, Dutch fans in Amsterdam, wherever they were watching, they would have been like, you know what, we can get a big scalp here. And that is the Pakistan scalp indeed. And it makes you think, Nikhil, about Paris Aurora's question right now, because he goes on to ask, do you think Netherlands skipper under bowled his main quicks Van Beek and Meekrin at the death, especially after Shadab's wicket? What do you feel?
100%. Even before that, I felt Bas Reed was getting some reverse. You saw that happening in the later stages of the second innings as well. So I think, which
Hmm.
is something that I felt that sometimes you are just maybe too preoccupied with your post plans. And see, if you look at the economy rates of the spinners, you'll say, oh, but they didn't go for the runs. But the fact is, they never looked troubled. The Pakistan lower order did not look as troubled, and they were able to hit sixes. Harris sort of hit a couple of them. So in that context, you've lost for 81. So if you are ending up giving runs to the opponents, when there was a case for you to keep them to a low score by just getting your paces on, you saw Paul Van Wickelen had what 4 overs to go, and you could even have gotten back Logan Van Beek as an option. So you had an option to rotate, but you were fixated with. And again, I'm not going to be too harsh, but I just felt that it was an option that they could have definitely tried. And yeah, thanks to Paras also for noting that. I felt they could have used that aspect much better.
And it's like what Gurkirat said earlier, right? If there was a skipper who had probably more tactical now, someone like Tom Latham yesterday, it could have been a different story. But they did their homework, especially in that first
Yeah.
innings. They went short to Imam, they got him out. They, of course, used spin against Baba, they got him out. And it just makes you think about the batting and how they'll go about it. In fact, we'll take a couple of comments right now. And Superhero Rise is going on to go and say his thoughts again. Hope they will get a win this tournament, but the next year in T20, they'll give a tough fight to every team. And it's something that Gurkeerat harps upon all the time. Shorter the format, more chances of these teams kind of toppling the giants. And if you guys are new to our platform, you guys can subscribe Indeed right now. Adnan Shahid, we saw you in the preview. You, of course, are asking another pertinent question right now. Nawaz provides much needed batting depth, but Usama is a better bowler. Who should Pakistan go with? Gurkeerat, that makes you think, right? Because obviously you like three-dimensional players. So like Saud Shakeel has kind of cemented his place. Do you think Mohammad Nawaz has, especially after that beauty of a ball to bat the lead?
Yeah, I mean, he also chipped in with 2 wickets, scored important runs, so it's going to be difficult to drop him. Again, it's see, you could say, oh, he's only, and today he batted ahead of Shadab. He batted at 7, so that tells you that the confidence with the bat is more with Nawaz than Shadab. So for him to lose his place, you'd say that he at least needs 2 bad games, if not more, because like Nikhil mentioned in the preview, he also had scored a 50 in the warm-ups, and that 50 was also a good innings. So right now, for Usama coming in could be difficult. And again, I think the traditional line of thinking is that you already have a leggy, you already have a wrist spinner, so you probably need a left arm spinner for more variety. It's something that India also keep thinking. Now the option's not available, but when Akshar and Jadeja are both in the squad, so probably a few losses and few bad games for Nawaz before Osama comes in. It's difficult to see it happen right now.
It is, of course. And like I said, Pakistan plays Sri Lanka next in the same venue of Hyderabad. Pranamanam, good to see you as always. He says, next, Netherlands seem like they're in that phase of evolution where they're a bit uncomfortable versus higher pace, but you can't bully them absolutely with that type. Sort of where Bangladesh were in 2012, 2015. How do you kind of assess this Netherlands team right now? Of course, they did really well in the qualifiers to qualify to this tournament with Sri Lanka. But is it onwards and upwards, even though they've suffered an 81 run defeat tonight?
Yeah, of course it is onwards and upwards because you see, for a considerable amount of time in this game, you always felt that they had a chance, and it was not out of hope or just wishful thinking that you felt that they had a chance. You knew they had to keep them to a, probably they gave a 40-50 more, which we discussed, like a score around 250 would be great for them to chase on this deck. A Rough did them in. But if you also go back and look at some of the wickets that and the manner of those dismissals, you will feel they were kind of self-inflicted and not more of the bowler beating the bat. So the wicket of Teja, Vikramjit going out just after getting to his 50, Max out okay, he was gotten by a short one, but again, all of that you feel that okay, this could have still been better dealt with. So I think in that sense, I think it's a positive for Netherlands to take that they were able to push Pakistan for a decent amount of time right through the game. And of course, you will have to have one guy maybe doing a bit more of the job, but that's okay. That's how they learn. You had Bazili taking 4 and scoring a lot of runs. Had he got some more support from Scott, who really got a good one, or a very quick one from Rock very early, now those things happen. So there are still areas where you could feel that okay, if Netherlands could do this right, they would have a better chance. And I think that's a very good space to win, as opposed to say, oh, they need these 10 things to do right. I don't think you had 10 things to do right in that sense. So I think they will be disappointed, but I think they'll be more disappointed in terms of not doing the controllables better. So hopefully, I just want them to play more games. They played Karnataka as a warm-ups. After this, they don't have a lot of ODIs. Go out there, let the onus is on the top-ranked teams to go and play with them more, or get them
Hmm.
home, play them more. That is how the game will keep growing. That is how they learn also to make more of this. To better prepare for all such scenarios.
Okay, keep the comments coming through, of course, and like and subscribe
I
to
mean,
us right now.
also you could
Go on, good.
also you could argue that you know the margin of the defeat for Netherlands is not as bad as it was for England yesterday, because they had a considerable chance. I mean, 120 for two, you felt they could have, they had more than a decent enough chance. So that 81 runs might look big, but because I think it was only about 2 or 3 moments where the game actually just drifted away from them. You could say there was that partnership between Nawaz and Shadab, and then those 3 wickets in overs 21 to 30, which is again, so often we have talked about Pakistan not getting those wickets. So Pakistan will be very happy that a few things that have not happened for them coming into the tournament happened today, and that will give them a lot of confidence. And I think for this bit, I don't know now if Babar went to his pacers in that period because of desperation to get wickets or because that was the idea. Because even Shaheen then came back for a second spell, and he had also bowled his seven. Roff had also bowled his seven around the 32nd, 33rd over mark. So it's something that we have discussed often with Babar, that he also gets fixated with the first ideas, the first plan, and not really think on the go wherein he needs to get back to his pacer. So again, these things will be huge positives for Pakistan, because like you said, they have three difficult games now. They play Sri Lanka, they play India, and then they play Australia. So important to get a few of these boxes ticked before those big games.
Okay, Superhero Rise is also kind of chipping in saying, don't you think Baba's a one-dimensional captain? He doesn't have any backup plan, as we saw in the Asia Cup. We'll hold our kind of verdicts on Baba, the skipper, and give it a little bit of time to breathe here. But Gurkira mentioned a whole slew of things there which could have turned the match on its head, and that makes me move on to the turning point next. So the turning point, I mean, I'm thinking to myself, Netherlands were what, next 120 for two, and I know they lost Vikramjeet Singh then. Do you think that was the game, or do you think, again, you go back to the first innings where Rizwan and Saud Shakeel take them out of jail?
I feel it was a partnership between Shadab and Nawaz
Hmm.
that batted Netherlands out of the comfort zone of having to
Hmm.
chase a score that was in their zone, because they were 188 for 6 when Iftikhar got out. Uh, Netherlands just had to find a way to keep them to 250 from there. You allowed 100 more runs, and that is, again, it's almost like the margin of defeat here with terms of 81 run defeat. So I felt, uh, and it was also the ease with which they went about it. So I felt the partnership between Shadab Nawaz just made sure that it will need something really special from Netherlands in the chase to get to that total. So that was but that partnership was the turning point for me.
Yeah, and I think one of the comments also said it was game awareness from those two out there in the middle, and indeed it was. By the way, Neural Hacks with Vasant going on to say, if possible, do a mid innings review, missing your review at that time. We can't, we're just all over the place. Somesh is going to be traveling, Nix and Gurkira possibly humanly can't do every show. So we'll try to give you the mid innings review only during the India games, right, Gurkira?
Yeah, and also again they got a lot of wickets in clusters, three wickets up top, then three in the middle, and then even at 252 for 8, they still allowed those 34 runs in the end. Maybe if from 252 for 8 they could have tried to encapsulate a collapse from somewhere, keep it to 260, 265, just still be a lot more in control. But yeah, it's something that they'll learn as they go on playing a lot more top sides. They'll understand that how a few lower orders can be blown apart. We have seen even India struggle with get those last three wickets.
Yeah.
So don't want to be too harsh on Netherlands on that front. But yeah, these small things ended up to be the differentiator. And I'm sure after today's game, again, a lot of Indian fans will start talking about, oh, that is why you need that batting depth. But if you need batting depth, you'll have to play Shardula ahead of Shabi. So these playing 11 shenanigans will be quite good to watch.
For sure. And Pranav Anand also getting chatty saying, given Pakistan's bowling line, Netherlands would have liked them to restrict around 200 when it reached 250. I think it was a bit too many. Nikhil Baiju going to say, did they miss Fred Klaassen with the ball? 286 was a steep chase against the attack. Netherlands only had a chance if they restricted Park to 250. And lots more comments coming through. I just want to ask you guys, finally, just to wrap up proceedings here. What were the negatives for Pakistan? I think, again, Shadab against a minnow team, if I could call them that, one for 45 and 8. What is up with him, Nikhil? And do you think he'll find his mojo back and mojo quickly?
See, I heard a very interesting comment by Dinesh Karthik in a show that you will not want me to name. So there he said there is a clear technical issue with Chadha, and he says it's pretty obvious for people who've been around him and have seen him from close quarters, and so it feels it's not a form issue, it's not a skill issue. He has to find a way to maybe bowl more uh, in the loop or attack the stumps more and not be short all the time. Now, that is something that I think a lot of us have often spoken about many spinners. That sometimes it's your role that you want to keep things tight, but you can't just always look to keep things tight by just bowling one thing. You'll have to mix it up. The question of Usama also has come in because Usama is the traditional leggy who is bowling it up to the batter, inviting them to go for the big one. And again, there has to be that fine balance. So that's where I think Shadav is probably stuck at one thing right now, and which is why it's reflected in the figures as well that he's someone who is looking at for economy, maybe not always for wickets. So I think that is something that Pakistan will definitely look at. I, at this point of time, would be more worried about the ease with which people are keeping the top order quiet for Pakistan. The way Imam was, bowled, the line that Imam was bowled by, short ball into the body, uncomfortable height, and he's been out like that before. The way Babar Azam was kept quiet by Aryan Dutt and then Colin Ackerman coming and getting him. Those are things that have always been there, and now teams are just suddenly able to keep them going without having to do anything else. I mean, we discussed about Aryan that like it was like a paper, okay, like it's like written, okay, yahi hoga, and eventually that's what happened. So I think that is something that they'll be wary of. That with Fakar out of form and so out of touch, you can't have the other two batters also being predictable. So I think that is something that I'm very interested to look at. That when they start facing tougher, higher ranked teams, there surely will be more plans from their side as well. So how they counter that, because they are a side that is dependent on the top three to come good. So I think that is one area that I'm very interested to see how Pakistan responds.
Absolutely, and it makes you think about how Babar, what he said before the toss, he believes in his openers. So only time will tell if Pakistan stick or twist with their openers. We'll wrap up proceedings with just taking a couple of questions, and it makes you think a little bit more about Hassan Ali as well. I know there's no Zasim Shah, 2 for 33 today. Do you think that gives him a little bit of confidence going into the tougher games? Gurkirat, someone like him, because he's been on the sidelines for a while, and it's not easy to just come into a World Cup, right?
Yeah, it isn't. And again, bowled well in that second warm up game, and bowled well today also. More than him, it's going to make Babar far more confident about sticking to this 11 and backing Hassan Ali. I
Yeah.
felt that at some point of time he could have gone to Hassan Ali as well in the middle overs, but he only went to him in the end. Preferred Rof and Shaheen, which is understandable because they've been playing far more, and as a captain you're going to have that confidence in those two far more than Hassan Ali. But the more Hassan Ali bowls, the more things will get easier for Pakistan in terms of planning. And so far, uh, he's not looked as off color as you would have thought. So good signs there for Pakistan.
Indeed, and you mentioned planning there. These two teams do not have to plan in terms of travel for the next couple of days, boys, because Netherlands do take on New Zealand on the 9th, which is the Monday, and then Pakistan Sri Lanka is on the 10th. We'll be doing fan cams there, so hopefully we can meet the real Chacha, not just the Ifti Chacha and all of that. I just want to ask you guys a couple of vital ones then, looking forward, and it makes you think about how literally, Sanjay is asking this. Thoughts on another India Pakistan fan getting avoided in another Asian game is comical right now. I mean, obviously it's still early signs, guys, but are we seeing, I don't know, a good version of Pakistan come to the fore? Or is it still too early? Next.
Just way too early to call it whichever version it is, and not by this game. In fact, this would not be a good game to tell the best version of Pakistan is coming, because Netherlands had them in proper moments for enough times during the game. So, as Paji said, they would have wanted to tick a few boxes. Those were ticked today, and that is something that they'll hope to build on. In terms of, we discussed about that middle order option. Shakeel has come good there, and we discussed about the third pacer. So Hassan Ali has come good there. So those are the very two and big boxes that they would have felt that okay, these are two good things ticked. Now let's see what we have to do in the next game. So too early to call anybody favorite, even if it's England or New Zealand or Pakistan.
Okay, Pakistan taking on Sri Lanka, and there's one question to Gurkirat which I'll ask and end the show. Noodle saying this. Basically, Netherlands spinner trouble Pakistan. We understood that. We spoke about it, Noodle Hacks. But Parasura going to say Gurkirat backs SL to win against Pakistan. I think he's seeing the Tuesday show and saying that. Don't you think SL's bowling looked depleted in the warm-ups? How do you think that contest is going to go? Do you think Pakistan now actually would start favourites? And they always were favourites to win that game, right?
uh, See, with respect to the first question about playing spin, the top three that Pakistan have is such that they really don't attack off spin a lot. You'd expect Babar to do that, but Babar has also, especially in the last 2.5 years, not had a high strike rate versus off
So
spin.
can they change? Can they change the personnel at the top? Because even Chetan's asking, should Ridwan bat at the top of the order,
No,
left, right, or top?
I don't think they can do that right now, especially with Rizwan providing both the stability and some gears of acceleration. I don't think that is happening. They desperately need Fakar to get some runs from somewhere, because if that doesn't happen, then they will have to bring in Abdullah Shafiq in. And if that happens, then also the onus will again fall on Abdullah Shafiq maybe to take those extra risks and score some runs in the power play, because that is the role that Fakar holds right now, and he's not getting runs because you won't ask Imam to do that because he's been doing his role fairly decently. Babar's not going to take those extra risks. So if Fakar doesn't come off, they'll need Abdullah Shafiq to do it. There's also Muhammad Haris, but I think they'll probably go to Abdullah Shafiq first. And it makes sense because in a T20, you can still go for as an opener who's a dasher, but ODI is a long game. It's a longer format. You need someone who can bat properly and then take advantage of that time period that you've settled in, and then probably bat then change your gear. So against spin, it's a problem. It's just that they don't attack off spin. So you could see Sri Lanka bowling a little bit of Dhananjay Silva early on. Maybe could save a few overs of Tikshana if they think that the attack's not being taken to DDS. Charada Sri Lanka is also an option, but I don't think things get to there for both the teams. Yes, after today, you might say you'll also have to see how Sri Lanka go tomorrow. If Sri Lanka are able to beat South Africa, then you might say that, oh, Sri Lanka could be favourite. So would be interesting to see how Sri Lanka go in Delhi tomorrow, and then probably say who could be one of the favourites going into that game. Because recently in the Asia Cup, Sri Lanka had a very good game versus Sri Lanka versus Pakistan. So that was one of the things that I had in my mind before I picked Sri Lanka to beat Pakistan.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for your time in this match review. Of course, Gurkira just hinted upon there is, of course, two games, South Africa, Sri Lanka, and Delhi, and of course, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, which comes from beautiful Dharamshala. We'll be doing the previews earlier. 9:55 is what we've envisaged our start. So join Sobesh, Nix, and Gurkira for that one. Gurkira, God bless you with that because you're going to be in the airport. Hopefully you get some good network, but it's fine. As long as we see your face and hear your insights, that's all that matters. Nix, thank you for your time as well. And well played in terms of all your fantasy cricket as ever, calling the shots as you see it, and more from these gentlemen throughout the course of the World Cup. Just two games in, and two games, of course, giving us a lot of talking points, plenty of to talk about from cricket.com's perspective, and we'll leave it there. Thanks so much for watching. It's a goodbye, good night from all of us. Enjoy it while it lasts, and I'll give you trivia to end the show. Pakistan winning another game in World Cup history, 14 out of 14 after scoring 275 plus. Something to think about. Thanks for watching. Good night from me.